Well, let's go ahead and talk about this so you can see it as well, Joe. We're going to take a look at the rankings and where they sit right now. This is UFC's new layout that they have, and boy, is it miserable. Is it hard to deal with? We got Tim Elliott, who fell down a spot. Alex Perez moved up one. Wilson Hayes moved up one. Dustin Ortiz fell one. I don't even know if this has been updated since the last Monday, December 3rd. So, yeah, these have been updated. Perez, off of a loss, a dominant loss to Joseph Benavidez, moves up a spot. We have Syed Nurmagomedov at number 14. This is something to behold, this flyweight division and the rankings that are still going on. And Joseph Benavidez saying, oh, we're still around. I want the winner of Cejudo Dillashaw. I feel like we shouldn't even talk about this flyweight division rankings because it's not going to exist soon. We do have Ronnie Yahya debuting at number 15 in the bantamweight rankings. Douglas Silva de Andrade, number 14 at bantamweight, moves up one spot. But light heavyweight, we see some movement there. Shogun moves up one spot. Krylov moves up a spot. Cummins pops up at number 15. Serkinov down one. Dom Reyes moves up one. Did you think that Shogun was going to move up more than one spot after his win this weekend?
That's a good question. Again, you run into recency bias sometimes, and you also run into the fact that he's a longtime veteran. It's tough to say with some of these voting members as to what's going to happen with them. But a victory generally means you do move up, but you shouldn't replace someone that was higher than you. In Misha Serkinov. I don't know how that flip-flop sort of happened, but I could understand it from some people's point of view. I just disagree with it. I think Serkinov should be ranked above Hua. And heck, a lot of the rankings, a lot of the numbers that we're looking at here, both these two should be ranked higher than some of these guys anyways, right? So it's kind of weird.
So let's look at the welterweight division. Darren Till moves down a spot. Why is that? Because Kamaru Usman jumped 3 spots from 5 to 2. That pushes Dos Anjos, who lost to Usman, down 2 spots. I got to say, I agree with this. Colby Covington is by all means the interim champion, so he should probably stay there at number 1. But Kamaru Usman at number 2, and then you have guys that have lost recently in Teal, Thompson, Dos Anjos, etc. Moving on down, maybe Ponzinibbio should be a little bit higher, I think, considering he hasn't been beaten in quite a while. But what do you think of ya boy, Kamaru Usman, moving up to number 2?
Hopefully I get to see him in Kazakhstan in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure if he's working the show at all, but obviously impressed with the performance. Did what he had to do to emerge victorious. 5 rounds, 25-minute yeoman's work. Did a really good job. And yeah, I do agree 100% with where he's placed in the rankings right now. I'll only agree 100%, if Covington gets the next title shot, right? Because Covington, if he's the interim champ, has to get the next title shot. And what sucks for Kamaru is he's going to have to wait to potentially face the winner of Woodley and Covington, or maybe have to fight again, which would suck for him, but we'll see.
Now, the fortunate thing about that is that fight's happening next month, supposedly. So we hear. That's what Dan Lambert claims. He claims they're targeting that fight. He told Fightful exclusively that they're targeting that fight for next month. Let's take a look at some of the others. Really, the only other movement, and this is a big one, Joe, Justin Willis from essentially, I think 15, maybe. I don't even know if he was ranked, up to number 9. And the reason why this leap is even bigger, and we have a Blagoy Ivanov who went from losing to being in the top 15, is because Mark Hunt's contract is up. We'll talk about Mark Hunt in a bit. But Justin Willis, with quite frankly, an uneventful win, moves up big time. Meanwhile, Junior Dos Santos doesn't move at all with his win. Well, what do you think about that?
It's definitely a tad strange on both occasions, only because Justin Willis, he took out Mark Hunt, which says a lot. But again, it was an uneventful performance. I get the W does good for you in terms of the rankings, but there's also a performance base that you need to look at when you're doing these rankings in terms of quality of content when you're watching somebody fight. It's a very strange move from 15 to 9. Mark Hunt, although retired or is gone, contract is up. It's a strange scenario. In terms of Junior Dos Santos, he took out what many people believe is one of the future studs and stars in this division, and he did so after getting rocked and putting on a fantastic performance. So I'm hoping that Alistair Overeem rematch takes place. We'll see what happens, but it's tough to say because Blades losing the way he lost to Ngannou, the heavyweight rankings kind of make sense at the top, but there could be a little bit more motion or movement with some of those rankings.
Heads up, guys, we will be covering these rankings weekly here on the Fightful MMA podcast now, giving you a little bit of a look at that, and we'll isolate that into individual videos. I know you guys like that a lot, but